Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the South Carolina Public Service Commission. We're here today for our weekly business meeting. Today is Wednesday, May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. It is 11:04 a.m. Attorney Butler, please read the agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. The first order of business would be to set the next commission meeting.
Yes, sir. We need to do that right after I take roll.
Yes, sir.
Present in the
Absolutely.
hearing room are Commissioners Caston, Powers, Belzer, and Jay Williams. Joining us virtually are Commissioners Thomas and Irvin. Attorney Butler, back to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Staff would recommend that the next commission meeting be set for Wednesday, May 19th, 2021 at 11 a.m.
Yes, sir. So not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, May the 19th, 11 a.m.
Yes, sir.
That will be the next commission business meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Executive Director Jocelyn Boyd.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. On this morning's administrative agenda, there is one item related to docket number 2021-88E, that is Dominion Energy South Carolina's 2021 avoided costs proceeding. Docket number 2021-89E, Duke Energy Carolina LLC's 2021 avoided costs proceeding. And finally, docket number 2021-90E, Duke Energy Progress LLC's 2021 avoided costs proceeding. The commissioners probably recall that on March 31st, 2021, it issued an order instructing its staff to issue a request for proposal for a consultant and expert for the proceedings that I just mentioned. And one of the items on the administrative agenda today, the first item is the revelation of the sealed submissions of the name of the filers and other relevant information as requested by the commissioners regarding the responses to the request for proposal issued pursuant to order number 2021-231. And Mr. Chairman, Procurement Director Matthew Hall is available in the hearing room to open the submissions that he received.
All right. Procurement Director Hall. Do we have Director Hall mic'd up?
Can you hear me now, Commissioner?
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
Okay, the date and time has arrived to conduct the public opening of proposals submitted related to solicitation 54000-21234, consulting services avoided cost. The agency received one proposal. And that proposal was submitted by JPC Advisory LLC.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a schedule if the commissioners want to proceed with the proposal that's been received, a schedule that includes allowing providing staff time to place information in DMS, scheduling public interviews, scheduling time for the parties to submit questions before and after the interview. If you'd like for me to proceed with the proposed schedule, I can do so right now.
Well, I'm not necessarily against proceeding with your proposed schedule, Executive Director Boyd. However, I am concerned that we only have one proposal. Do we have room to reopen the bidding process, or are we stuck with what we have?
Procurement Director Hall, is it possible for us to republish the RFP that we published before for an additional, 5-6 business days? Is that possible?
That is not possible. The appropriate action in this instance, if the agency is not satisfied with the number of offers, would be to cancel this award at this point and to reissue a request for proposal. that would be its own procurement instrument.
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston.
I don't have any idea how many firms are available that are experts at avoided costs. Somehow that just seems to be a rare breed to me. That said, if there's a way to verify the qualifications of this particular firm for expediency's sake, well, not just expediency's sake, but it appears we're somewhat limited. If this firm's qualifications meet the requirements and expectations, I would think that it might be prudent to go with what we have, if what we have is good enough.
Mr. Chairman, I was going to, if you don't mind me asking Procurement Director Hall another question. Is it possible for the agency to proceed with this one, and if the commission chooses to, at another business meeting, issue another RFP? So conduct proceedings based on what it's received, and then the commission can still issue another RFP and receive additional if others choose to submit responses. Is that possible?
That would be allowable.
Okay.
I would like to hear from my other colleagues. So again, Commissioner Caston, I think you raise a very important point. We may be looking for a unicorn here. It could be the reason why we only have one proposal. The concern I have, it's really not so much a concern as it is wanting to be transparent about the process. Obviously, if we enter a review process with one candidate, we're only going to have two options, accept or reject the candidate. And if we reject the candidate, then we don't have an expert. So we just need to be prepared for what's going to happen at the end because, correct me if I'm wrong, Executive Director Boyd, don't the parties have opportunity to comment on the expert?
They will, Mr. Chairman. The schedule that I'm going to provide you, if you allow me to just present that proposed schedule, will allow the parties in those three dockets to comment regarding, first and foremost, provide questions to the commissioners regarding this particular submission and any future submissions. And then the parties will also have an opportunity after any interviews to provide feedback. So, yes, sir.
So Commissioner Urban.
I just pulled up JPC Advisory LLC on the web, on their website. And I just called the chair's and my colleagues' attention that all three principals, James R. Carney, Rhonda T. Boggs, and David M. Johnson, were former employees of Dominion Energy. And this appears to be a potential or apparent disqualifier. You know, we went through a process we have in the past where we ask if any bidders had prior ties to any of the parties, and that seems to be an obvious disqualifier. So I don't think we're going to have any choice but to reissue a new request for proposal, given this prior affiliation that both or all three of the partners in this firm are former Dominion executives. And I'd ask that we, I would move that we reopen the process. And we can go through a vetting if you think that's more appropriate. I would defer to our expert with the administrative services is how best to handle it. But I can foresee that this is going to be a potential conflict of interest since Dominion is a party to the avoided cost docket.
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Thomas.
Commissioner Thomas, before I give you the floor, sir, I want to address Commissioner Urban. Now, Commissioner Urban, I am by no means a procurement expert, but I do think the process is in place to ensure that how we select bids for RFPs is transparent, fair, and everyone who wants to participate has an opportunity to do so, including making comments. I don't know, well, I will just say it plainly. I don't think it's fair at this point to make any determination regarding the qualifications of the entity that submitted a bid, considering all we should know about them is just their name. And then I think there's a process for vetting. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think it's appropriate now to make any decision based on just what we know now from the procurement
agree.
director.
Mr. Chairman, I agree that, and you notice that I qualified my statement by saying it's an apparent conflict.
Yes, sir.
And probably the best course of action is to allow these folks to come down and go through a vetting process like we've done in the past. And they may be able to convince us that this is not a conflict of interest, but I did want to bring it to the commission's attention. I would anticipate that some of the parties may have issues, but we can deal with that at the appropriate time. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Point well made and well taken. So, Executive Director Boyd, you asked the procurement director a question regarding moving forward with your schedule, but if I understood your question correctly, also allowing for additional time to reopen the RFP, or
No, sir, I think Procurement Director Hall said that we will not be able to reopen this particular RFP.
Okay.
What we'll have to do at another commission business meeting is just, staff will ask the commission, if it so chooses, to issue another RFP. I think the commission can, at this point, though, proceed with the transparent process with the one submission that you do have. And then if the commissioners so choose, you can issue another RFP and we'll have another transparent process to handle any additional submissions.
right?
Mr.
Okay, so
Chairman.
you asked that question, and then Procurement Director Hall gave his answer. Commissioner Thomas, I did not forget about you, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you. I guess I have a question, really. What sort of publicity happens when we put the RFP out there? Could something be done to have it a little bit more widespread, perhaps get more responses? I'm not going to say that these people would be ruled out, but is there a way to potentially better publicize and maybe get a better response? I don't know. That's my question.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, you may.
I think at the next agenda meeting, whenever this is, posted and the public knows that this is what's going to be discussed, perhaps staff, not perhaps, I commit to you, staff will have some other forms of communication other than the centralized RFP distribution center, and the emails that were sent to several consultants that the agency contacted 2 years ago or emailed regarding possibly bidding at that time. So if that suits the commissioners, that's what we'll do, if that's okay.
Mr. Chairman.
That's fine. I hear you, Commissioner Urban. Let me just I want to make sure Commissioner Thomas's question is answered. I understand that, Executive Director Boyd, and that may have sufficiently answered Commissioner Thomas's question. But if it didn't, I would like to give Procurement Director Hall opportunity to educate us about the process. So when we secure your services for our RFP, how is that information communicated to potential bidders? Procurement Director Hall or Executive Director Boyd,
You
whoever.
can talk to him if you don't mind about the site, and then I can tell you what we provided. We have a spreadsheet. I don't remember how many email addresses were on there, Mr. Chairman, from 2 years ago. And we also received a request this year from a firm asking that they receive any future solicitations from this agency. So their email address was included on that list, and that entity was also informed that we were including them on the list of other consultants who'd asked about solicitations from this agency. So that email was sent not twice. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am,
Procurement
you're
Director.
correct.
Would you tell them about the Department of Administration's website?
I will. In all instances, solicitations that are posted for offers to be submitted to the state of South Carolina are sent to all potential offers that have selected a specific indicator. In this case, the indicator that was used for this solicitation was consulting services. In addition to that, an entry is made into the South Carolina Business Opportunities announcement, and offers are informed that that is where they should go to receive any information about contracting opportunities with the state of South Carolina. Also, in this instance, the Public Service Commission of South Carolina provided a list of more than 50 potential offers that were determined to be qualified in this field, and they were notified as well twice via email from myself.
Okay, so that's some pretty important information. And correct me if I'm wrong, sir. It sounds like you're telling me that at least 50 presumably qualified applicants received notice of the RFP twice.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, and from at least 50 presumably qualified applicants, we received one bid.
Yes, sir. The agency received one proposal.
And so, to Commissioner Caston's point, we may have to go with what we have in terms of the process, starting the process, because the worst case scenario is no expert. Do we feel comfortable going through avoided costs or any of these dockets with no expert? Colleagues?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers?
thank you, sir. I guess it's more of a question. Were there such technical specifications or such requirements put in this offer that may have made others shy away, or is there something limiting in this offer that's kept people from being interested?
Mr. Chair.
Executive Director Boyd?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Powers, if I may, so I have a copy of the RFP here. The scope of work basically mentioned the directive from March 31st, and then there is word for word the statute 584120I that instructs the commission to hire an expert to address avoided costs methodologies. It indicates that public interviews, questions, they must be bound by the ex parte law. And then there is one other, Mr. Chairman, if you give me a second, please. Okay. Qualifications on page 19 state, once again, that offerors must abide by the ex parte laws in Title 58. They must be willing to sign an acknowledgement of ex parte prohibitions in Chapter 3, Title 58 of the South Carolina Code upon award. They must be qualified and independent as required by South Carolina Code annotated section 584120 subsection I. Must, comma, if requested, comma, respond to discovery, be deposed, cross-examined, and testify before the commission. Provide a detailed narrative statement with adequate information to establish that they meet all the requirements. They asked for pricing. Did not ask for a bond. The other information is basically standard information that's included in the Department of Administration's request for proposal, commissioners.
So, if they were interested, they would be making an offer as far as what their price would be or how they would want to proceed with that.
Yes, sir. It just said
Okay.
it provides them with a bidding schedule on page 30. And there's the columns read line number, quantity, unit of measure, unit price, extended price. The hourly rate is required.
So we didn't set a price that
No,
scared
sir.
everybody off.
No, sir. No, sir.
Well, I tell you, to your point, Commissioner Powell, it's just, food for thought, and it sort of goes to Commissioner Caston's point. It's not like we have any easy cases around here. And I'm sure once these folks, if people are in business, they're in business to make money and they want to offer their goods and services for sale. But everybody asks themselves at some point in time, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I'm sure they probably received that RFP, and probably the first thing they did was Google Public Service Commission of South Carolina or State of South Carolina or energy issues to see exactly what they may be in store for. And maybe, just maybe, this is not a venue or a task that they want to commit themselves to. I could be totally wrong, but just thinking about it, at least 50 sophisticated companies received the offer and only one responded.
Respectfully, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I don't think you saw us. I think Mr. Hall had a point he wanted to make.
Mr. Chairman, I'll add 2 points. The first references or somewhat corrects what you just said. Not only did we invite companies, private sector companies, to offer educational institutions from across the country, we're also included in that list. And then I will also offer to the commission that I was contacted by one of the potential offerers that expressed interest in the scope of work, but unfortunately they had backlog issues. So I'll advise the commission that it may not necessarily be related to scope why you did not receive more offers. It could be related to industry conditions currently.
Mr. Chairman.
I understand that. Commissioner Caston and Commissioner Urban, thank you for that, Procurement Director Hall. Commissioner Caston?
A couple of things. Request for qualifications, request for proposals mean two different things, and I think we distinctly know the difference. And I often talk about bids. My previous life, we never considered professional services bids or taking a low bid per se, but they were qualifications based, not low bid based, which I think we fall in that same category, or I hope we fall in that same category.
This process does not allow for award by lowest bid as the only criteria.
Good. And if possible, and I don't know if this is possible with the state, if it were possible on such as this to have pre-qualified bid list or pre-qualified list rather than, and I understand the transparency issue, but we try to cast this broad net, understandably, we want to make it available to as many as possible. But in some things, such as these highly technical things, it is a limited pool. And if possible, if we can establish pre-qualified list, it is much more manageable, much more reasonable, much more doable, because you've pretty much pre-qualified the folks that can or cannot do these things. And it, I think, makes it simpler for all. The other thing, Chairman Williams, and I understand what Commissioner Irvin said, you know, there'd be some that wouldn't like maybe this or that, and I appreciate that. That said, unless the law prohibits it, my personal opinion, and that's fairly restrictive, in that you just don't wake up one day and say, you know, I think I'm going to do rate cases or whatever. And I understand that, but most of these things come about because of the experience in our background. Now, if it were one of the typically, let's say, the interveners that had experience with them but had formed a company, would it be the same thing? So, I mean, it could be a vicious circle to where somehow, some way, you've been involved with these entities in the course of time. I guess the point I'm trying to make is I do personally not believe that those should be disqualifying characteristics. What it should be is based on your experience, whatever we establish for vetting process, and go with it. Understanding that someone can always criticize what we do. Kind of comes with the turf, but it either meets the criteria, the law, or it does not. Is there a state law that says if you work for a utility, you can't do this?
Mr. Chairman, if I can, Commissioner
Executive
Cassidy.
Director Boyd.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Cassidy, if you want my opinion, I just think in those instances, the commission has to view each on a case-by-case basis. Because someone I think you might see might have worked for a utility 20 years ago. And then you have to, in my mind, weigh, you know, what was the relationship about? How much, was it a big relationship, small one? Was it $5 worth of work? I think you have to look, does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense. You have to look at each case because I think the commissioners were confronted with that back in 2019. And they asked more information about, well, how much compensation was involved? How long ago was the relationship? I think they had to ask specific questions so that they knew the whole story and could determine whether or not the candidate, you know, might have some perceived biases or might not have an open mind entering into the relationship with the PSC. So I hope I'm answering your question. I think you might want to consider addressing those issues on a submission by submission basis.
And I guess that was, I concur with that point. Again, I mean, I understand the concern. My only point being, Chairman Williams, is I believe we have enough experience and whatever else required to discern these things. And I just don't think it wise to just make it a disqualifier if you work for one entity or another. Just do it based on the facts or the merits of wherever we are. Only point I was trying to make. That was a lot to unload.
Point well made, point well taken. I think Commissioner Irvin and Executive Director Boyd highlighted concern about the information that was brought to our attention. But notwithstanding that information, I think the process is in place, and Executive Director Boyd has a proposed schedule to vet this candidate. Here's where I stand on this. It sounds like the procurement director went through an extensive process to notify the right people, if you will, that we were in need of service. And only one person responded out of a plethora of potential candidates. And so that's where we are. And so with that, I would move that we proceed with Executive Director Boyd's schedule and vet the candidate through the process that's established. And if they are qualified, we vote. When the same goes to the opposite. If they're not qualified, we vote. But we won't know until we get there. Anything else from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
Executive
may I-
Director Boyd.
May I just provide you with a copy of the schedule? We have it on the camera. Live stream director Purvis has helped me, and she can display it. Director Purvis, would you display it on the camera now, please? I have a proposed schedule that I'd like just to go over with you briefly, Mr. Chairman. So the public information I'll have to get with Procurement Director Hall related to the information that's within that RFP that can be published on our website. But we'd like to do that no later than the close of business May 7th, this Friday, to make sure that we don't violate any privacy. The next date on there would be questions from the parties regarding this submission. They would be due to be filed with the commission no later than the close of business May 17th. Questions from commissioners for this particular submission can be addressed at the commission business meeting, the next one for May 19th. Public interviews for this submission could take place at a special commission business meeting on May 27th. And Mr. Chairman, since we know at this point there's one candidate, I could respectfully ask that you consider changing that date to May 26th. That's the meeting after the 19th. So since there's only one candidate, so perhaps if you all would consider changing that to May 26th, since we now know there's one submission, not more than one. May 27th is a Thursday. Next, feedback related to the public interview would be due from the parties in the case no later than close of business on June 3rd. Also, the final written conflicts check letter, the candidate was supposed to provide a conflicts checks letter in the submission the Procurement Director Hall has, but after your interviews, I thought maybe you might want a final one, depending on what type questions arise. That would also be due no later than the close of business on June 3rd. And finally, the commissioners could make a decision on June 9th if you so choose, or at a publicly noticed meeting. I just wanted to, if you don't, I wanted to relay that schedule to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Executive Director Boyd. I take no issue with the schedule as proposed, even with the change. I just want this commission to be aware of what position we will be in if we go through all of this and in June we find that the applicant is not qualified and we have zero experts. I'm not sure there'll be enough time to go through this process again to have an expert ready to go on some of these cases.
Mr. Chairman, if I may respectfully add.
Yes, you may.
All right, if I'm talking too much, I know you'll tell me that's enough. I think perhaps the commission should consider then on May 19th, since you have one submission, ask if it's okay, staff can issue another administrative agenda item. And I think Procurement Director Hall said it's okay to issue another request for proposal. At that time, on May 19th, that can be addressed. So you don't run into this issue of, it's too late. It's just up for you to consider.
So that was sort of my question earlier. Can we go through this process and still open up another RFP?
Yes, sir. That's what he said. We have to conclude this one, but we can't open another one.
For the same exact
Yes, sir.
scope?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Urban.
I'd like to ask Mr. Hall a question, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hall, can we ask the JPC Advisory LLC for a written conflicts check letter immediately so that we can determine, because they may disclose their prior relationships with Dominion and decide that since this is Dominion docket, they don't feel it appropriate for them to go forward. Would that be a time saver for the commission rather than having to go through all this?
Mr. Chairman, while Procurement Director Hall is talking, may I also just state a fact that I know the commission is aware of this, so there are actually 3 dockets involved here.
Yes,
One Dominion and then Duke Energy Progress and Duke Energy Carolina. So there are actually 3 different dockets.
it doesn't have to be the same expert on all dockets.
Yeah, I think the only issue in the statute is we can't hire the same,
Expert as
as
ORS.
the Office of Regulatory Staff, but we do have 3 different dockets that you're, addressing here.
My question, if I may.
Well, wait. Yes, you may. After Director Hall responds to Commissioner Urban's question.
I would see no issue with the commission addressing any potential conflicts of interest during the interview portion of this process. I think that would be proper and well. With that being said, I would also like to offer that as part of the requirement for the submission of this proposal, we ask that potential offers provide a conflict of interest certification, if you will. And in this case, the offerer did provide that.
All right, sir. So you take the position that they stand right now as the winning, or the winning, how would you call it? It's not really a bid. What do you call it?
I would actually refer to this as, our only offer. I'm not sure
Only
that
offer.
I would characterize it as winning or losing or.
Sure. I think in fairness to JPC Advisory LLC, then would you agree with me, Mr. Hall, that we need to go through the normal vetting process, give them a chance to be interviewed and answer questions?
Most certainly. The process is here for transparency and fairness. So it is my recommendation that we follow the process.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we adopt the previously outlined vetting schedule for JPC Advisory LLC as stated by our Executive Director, Ms. Boyd.
All right. Commissioner Urban, would you accept a friendly amendment to your motion?
Well, don't you have
Depends
one?
on what it is.
Well, so I think I've made that motion, the same
All right,
motion
sir.
that you made. We were on the same page there.
All right.
But I also think the commission needs to consider Executive Director Boyd's recommendation in opening up another
Yes.
RFP on May 19th.
Yes, I agree with you. We're on the same page.
All right. And so the motion as stated by Commissioner Urban, with the acceptance of the friendly amendment, is that we will move forward with the schedule presented by Executive Director Boyd, which includes changing that May 27th date to May 26th. And then also on our May 19th business meeting, the staff will open up another RFP with the same scope, with the goal of obtaining more bids for the scope of work that we need. Are we on the same page, Commissioner Urban?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hearing the motion, is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Thomas.
Commissioner Thomas.
So I guess my question is, in the end, if someone else came forward, I suppose that we would have the opportunity or the option to hire a different consultant in the different proceedings. Is that correct?
Executive Director Boyd.
Yes, sir. I think the statute allows for that. You can hire 1, 2, 3 consultants. I think the statute allows.
There would be no apparent conflict if JPC Advisory LLC served as the expert in the Duke dockets. However, after vetting, if we determine that out of abundance of caution to avoid any appearance of impropriety, the JPC Advisory, the 3 principals are all former executives of Dominion, that they would not be appropriate for them to advise us on the Dominion docket. And so we have a number of options, Commissioner Thomas. They may well qualify for the Duke cases, but I have very serious concerns as to whether or not they could be fair and impartial, since all three principals spent their entire career, for the most part, with Dominion. And so that's my concern, but we're going to give them a fair hearing. They may be able to convince us otherwise, but I look forward to hearing from them. Does that answer your question?
I agree. I think that we should go through the process without prejudice and still have the ability to potentially talk to one or more other candidates, and I think that's a good plan.
Great.
Is there any more discussion? Any more discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Urban,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, just one last thing.
Executive
So-
Director Boyd.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Respectfully, I'm just let the commissioners know, you and the commissioners know, we'll have an administrative agenda item on May 19th, so the commission can officially vote on that. And we'll also have a marketing strategy in response to Commissioner Thomas's concerns earlier on May 19th.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Attorney Butler.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. If it's agreeable with the commission, we'll proceed with the commission's utilities agenda for today. Item number 1 is an interconnection agreement between Home Telephone and Level 3 Communications LLC.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Powers.
Microphone.
Thank you, I'm sorry. I move the commission approve the interconnection agreement between Home Telephone, ILEC, LLC, doing business as Home Telecom, and Level 3 Communications, LLC.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 2 is docket number 2021-84C. It's a transfer of ownership of Wholesale Carrier Services Incorporated to BCM One Group Holdings Incorporated.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the commission accept the application in this docket as information, since the actual transaction is a transfer of control of Wholesale Carrier Services Incorporated to BCM One Group Holdings Incorporated. So move.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with District 2, Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
I vote aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 3 is docket number 2021-130-S. We have a motion for confidential treatment of certain portions of the application filed on behalf of the applicants in the docket.
Is there a motion?
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston.
I move that the motion for confidential treatment of certain portions of the application filed on behalf of Synergy Utilities LP, South Carolina Water Utilities Incorporated be granted.
Hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 4 is docket number 2020-225-WS. We have a request for a 90-day extension to manually prepare and mail checks by South Carolina Water Utilities CUC.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Order number 2020-93 approves a stipulation agreement between ORS CUC Inc., and South Carolina Water Utilities, CUC Inc. The stipulation required South Carolina Water Utilities, CUC Inc., to issue refunds related to the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act to customers of CUC during the time CUC collected the excess revenue. The requirement was that refunds would be issued within 2 billing cycles at the close of the acquisition of CUC by South Carolina Water Utilities, CUC. Further requirements for the refunds were set out by the Commission in Order Number 20-94. This company now seeks additional time to issue refunds to former customers of CUC whose addresses are known, or to pursue other legal remedies through the South Carolina Uniform Unclaimed Property Act for former customers whose addresses are unknown. I would move that the Commission approve the request of South Carolina Water Utilities, CUC Incorporated, for a 90-day extension of time to manually prepare and mail checks for refunds under the Tax Cut and Jobs Act to former CUC customers whose addresses are known, or to process the refunds of those former customers who cannot be located according to the South Carolina Uniform Unclaimed Property Act as required by Order Number 2020-94. I would so move.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 5 on the utilities agenda is docket number 2021-111-G. The staff is presenting for commission consideration the Dominion Energy South Carolina motion to dismiss the complaint.
Is there a motion?
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston,
I move that the commission deny Dominion's motion to dismiss at this time.
hearing commission, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I also move that the commission instruct staff to set a new procedural schedule for the remainder of the pre-filing dates, and also set a new hearing date for this complaint matter.
Hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 6 is under docket number 2019-212E. This is a motion for admission pro hoc vici.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers.
thank you. I move the commission grant the motion for admission pro hoc vici of Sarah Hutchins, Esquire.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll start a vote with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 7 is docket number 2021-78-E. We have a joint petition of Mid-Carolina Electric Cooperative Incorporated and Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated for reassignment of territory in Lexington and Saluda counties and other relief.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair Belzer.
I move that the commission grant the joint petition of Mid-Carolina Electric Cooperative Incorporated and Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated for the reassignment of territory in Lexington and Saluda counties, exchange of certain customers and transfer of assets, and for approval of agreements to limit corridor rights. ORS has recommended that the commission require the joint petitioners to file amended territorial assignment maps for Lexington and Saluda counties to reflect the modifications requested in the joint petition. Therefore, I move that the commission order the joint petitioners to file the amended maps. That's my motion.
Hearing Vice Chair Belzer's motion, is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would, if I may,
Vice Chair Belzer.
I would note that the petitioners have indicated that this joint petition resulted from lengthy good faith negotiations between Mid-Carolina and Dominion Energy, and that the territories from the different geographic locations were considered on an integrated basis concurrently and in combination during the negotiations. I'd also note that the if approved, this agreement would reduce the number of distribution lines that are crossing Lake Murray. There would be 4 lake crossings by distribution lines eliminated, 2 from Mid-Carolina and 2 from Dominion. Further, because there are customers being affected by this agreement, the customers that would be affected were each notified by letter sent back in January that they may be switching providers. There were a total, I think, of around 55 customers. Of that, approximately 25 had no objection. I think 2 had objection, but those were subsequently resolved after customers talked to representatives of either Dominion or Mid-Carolina. And then there was the remainder were no response. ORS indicated in their letter, their filing in this docket, that they had reviewed the customers' written objections and which were present. Not all of them had written objections, but and verified that none of those objections were in relation to concerns regarding adequacy or dependability of service. So I think the utilities have done a good bit of work in trying to make sure that this is known to the customers and that that these reassignments would benefit those impacted. I just note that for discussion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, other commissioners, with regard to item number 8, docket number 2017-280-E, we have a request from the Office of Regulatory Staff to carry that matter over at this time.
The matter will be carried over.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to item number 9, docket number 2021-120E. We have a request of Dominion Energy to sell property to the City of Columbia and a waiver of bid requirement.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair Belzer.
I move that the Commission approve Dominion's request for approval to sell property to the City of Columbia as filed, and that the bid requirement be waived. The Office of Regulatory Staff has reviewed the request and does not object to either the request for approval of the sale or the waiver of the bid requirement.
Hearing Vice Chair Belzer's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, the staff would recommend that items 10, 11, and 12 be taken together. We have purchase power agreements with requests for confidential treatment, and I'll name these. Item number 10 is in docket number 2021-73-E. Number 11 is in docket number 2021-74-E. And item 12 is in 2021-75-E.
Is there a motion?
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston,
I move that the power purchase agreements and items 10, 11, and 12, as described by Mr. Butler, be accepted for filing, and that the request for confidential treatment of certain portions of each such agreement be granted.
hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 13 is docket number 318-E. This is the request for commission consideration. Duke Energy Progress is asking for approval of an updated excess deferred income tax rider to be effective June 1st.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the commission approve the updated excess deferred income tax rider of Duke Energy Progress LLC to be effective June the 1st, 2021. I so move.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 14 is docket number 2018-319E. This is a request of Duke Energy Carolinas LLC for approval of its updated excess deferred income tax rider, again to be effective on June 1st.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the commission approve the updated excess deferred income tax rider of Duke Energy Carolinas LLC to be effective on June the 1st, 2021. I so move.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission, this brings us to item number 15, which is ND 2021-6-A, and there is a request for commission appointment to the advisory committee of the new fund that is to be presented from the General Assembly, known as the South Carolina Emergency Rental Assistance Program.
I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice Chair Belzer.
Item 15, is there a motion?
Vice Chair Belzer, I have a motion.
Chairman Williams?
The South Carolina General Assembly recently enacted Act Number 17 to address the use of federal funds for the South Carolina Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Pursuant to this act, the State Housing Financing and Development Authority is charged with the administration of this program, and it must use the funds to assist eligible households that are unable to pay rent, utilities, and other expenses related to housing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The act also creates the South Carolina Emergency Rental Assistance Program Advisory Panel to review and monitor the implementation and evaluation of the program and funding. Pursuant to the act, one representative must come from a utility provider appointed by the Public Service Commission of South Carolina. Fellow commissioners, we opened a request for nomination, I believe, last week. We received 5 nominations. The nominees were Senior Vice President and General Counsel to the South Carolina Electric Cooperatives, Attorney Christopher R. Kuhn. South Carolina Association of Municipal Power Systems nominated Ms. Teresa Lake, CPA and CFO of Greenwood CPW. The South Carolina Water Utilities, I think I may have that wrong. It is South Carolina Water Utilities, a Southwest Water Company, nominated Mr. Michael Carton. Dominion Energy South Carolina nominated Ms. Christina Freeman. Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress nominated Ms. Nancy Lohr, and those were the nominees. After review the nominees, and all of us had the opportunity to review the submissions they made on DMS, I find that the Senior Vice President and General Counsel of the South Carolina Electric Cooperatives, Attorney Christopher R. Kuhn, is the best candidate for the job. Attorney Christopher R. Coons, through his work at the South Carolina Electric Cooperatives, serves 1.6 million customers in all 46 counties of South Carolina. He has served as the past president of the South Carolina Bar Foundation. In that capacity, he worked to fund a diverse group of organizations that serve South Carolina citizens. Some of them include Antioch Education Center, Charleston Trident Urban League, Greenville County Human Relations Commission, Richland County Court-Appointed Special Advocates, Sister Care, and the University of South Carolina School of Law Veterans Legal Clinic. Mr. Kuhn will be, I believe, a great candidate for this panel, but I do not want to make light of the other nominees that were presented to us. I believe all of them have unique qualifications that will help assist customers who are in need. For that reason, along with nominating Attorney Kuhn to the panel, I would ask that Attorney Kuhn work with Ms. Teresa Lake, Mr. Michael Carton, Ms. Christina Freeman, and Ms. Nancy Lohr to ensure that the panel has information from all of the aforementioned utility providers to make sure that customers that are in need of assistance voices are heard. Obviously, we can only appoint one person to the seat. If we could appoint more, we would. So I want to be clear that Attorney Kuhn is who I recommend that we appoint, but I would sincerely request that Attorney Kuhn work with the aforementioned applicants, communicate with them what's happening on the panel, so that the applicants who are under our jurisdiction can come back in 3 months and give an allowable ex parte briefing as to the status of the program. This is important because we know that COVID-19 has caused some ratepayers to miss their utility payment. And that's an issue that we will see at some point because the utility providers have to account for those missed payments. So if this program can help reduce the cost or reduce the burden on the ratepayers for those missed payments, I think we need to make sure that we provide the best candidate for the job and that candidate work with the other candidates who are also very much so qualified to serve in this area. Vice Chair Belzer, that is my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, any questions or discussion?
Madam Vice Chair, this is Commissioner Thomas.
Commissioner Thomas.
I would just like to agree with the chairman. I think he summed it up very well. We had an excellent group of candidates, and it would be great if they could all serve on this panel. But I think his suggestion for all of them to work together is excellent, and I appreciate that very much. That's all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any other commissioners?
Vice Chair Belzer.
Commissioner Caston?
Until just a little while ago, I did not draw the association between South Carolina Water Utilities and Southwest Water
Wait a
Company.
minute. Is that a different matter? Is that a?
Yes, at voting time, I'm going to recuse myself on this one.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, please. Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair,
Commissioner Urban.
thank you. I'd like to second Chairman Williams' nomination of Chris Kuhn. He's certainly well qualified from a number of well qualified applicants, but I know that Mr. Kuhn will work with all the parties involved and second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? I would also comment, this was an impressive list of candidates that were presented to the commission. I think that each individual could bring some valuable experience, valuable insight into what's happening with some of the consumers that they're aware of that are in need of assistance, and concur with the chairman's suggestion that all of these candidates confer with Mr. Kuhn, that Mr. Kuhn try to confer with them. I know that time is of the essence with this matter because I think the panel has already conducted at least one meeting. So I would also ask that we get this name out as soon as possible to the committee. With no other discussion, we will.
Vice Chair Belzer?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to prolong the time, but I think this point is important for all of those who are tuning in via the live stream and will read this transcript and the directives. I think it should be noted that this is a unpaid volunteer service opportunity to administer funds to those who cannot pay or had issues paying their utilities during the COVID-19 pandemic. So it should not go unnoticed the willingness of all the candidates to apply because they are volunteering their time in the service of others. And I can't say how important that is to recognize and how much I appreciate the willingness of all the candidates to volunteer their time in the service of others.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing further, we'll proceed to a vote. Chairman Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Caston is recused. Is that correct?
Yes, Vice Chair Belzer.
Commissioner Caston is recused. Commissioner Irvin?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Chairman, I'll return the gavel to you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Belzer.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission, I am told that we need to return to item number 4 on the utilities agenda. And I also understand that Commissioner Caston has a statement that he wishes to make. Thank you.
Item number 4. Could you read that item for us again,
It's
Attorney
3.
Butler?
3.
Yes, sir. That is item number 4 is docket number 2020-225-WS. And this has to do with the question of refunds in South Carolina Water Utilities and CUC. There was a request for a 90-day extension to manually prepare and mail checks.
Commissioner Caston.
Thank you, Chairman Williams. Out of an abundance of caution, until actually this morning, I did not draw the conclusion that South Carolina Water Utilities, Inc. and Southwest Water Utilities, there was any connection there. So until I guess I have a better understanding or guidance from our legal team and others, I think it best for me to not vote on this item and perhaps one more. So I previously did, but I would like to, if possible, to take that back and simply recuse myself on that.
All right. So that's item 4. You said there was another?
And Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, item 3, please, sir.
Attorney Butler, would you read item 3?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Item 3 was docket number 2021-130-S, and this was for commission consideration of motion for confidential treatment of certain portions of the application And the two applicants are Synergy Utilities LP and South Carolina Water Utilities Incorporated.
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair Belzer.
as Commissioner Caston is recusing himself on these items involving South Carolina Water Utilities Incorporated, I have a motion on item 3.
We'll hear your motion, Vice Chair Belzer.
I would move that the request and the motion for confidential treatment of certain portions of the application filed on behalf of Synergy Utilities LP and South Carolina Water Utilities Incorporated be granted.
Hearing Vice Chair Belzer's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. All right, so Commissioner Caston recused himself from items 3 and 4. We just voted on item 3 without Commissioner Caston. And Attorney Butler, do you know the votes for item 4?
No, sir, it would be my recommendation that perhaps the commission consider a revote and another motion on item 4.
Okay. Is there a motion for item 4?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers.
I would move that the commission approve the request of South Carolina Water Utilities CUC Incorporated for a 90-day extension of time to manually prepare and mail checks for refunds under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act to former CUC customers whose addresses are known, or to process the refunds of those former customers who cannot be located according to the South Carolina Uniform Unclaimed Property Act as required by order number 2020-94, and I will so move.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission, I think that completes the utilities agenda for today. If you're it will grant me this permission, I would like to go ahead with the transportation agenda for today.
Permission granted.
Thank you, sir. Items 1 through 7 are Class C non-emergency certificate applications, and staff would recommend that these be taken together, and I will recite those. Number 1 is the application of Advanced Mobile Care for Class C non-emergency certificate. Item 2 is the application of Southern Express for Class C charter bus certificate. Item 3 is the application of Astro Travel and Tours for Class C charter bus certificate. Item 4 is docket number 2021-146T, the application of Conic LLC DBA Z Transportation Service for Class C taxi certificate. Item 5 is docket number 2021-147T, the application of Mode Eas Harani DBA Nanacare Transportation Service for Class C non-emergency certificate. 6 is docket number 2021-149T, the application of Windstar Lines LLC for Class C charter bus certificate. And number 7 is docket number 2021-150T, the application of Greenville Executive Limo Service LLC for Class C charter certificate.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers.
thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move the commission approve the applications for Class C authority as listed in items 1 through 7 by Mr. Butler.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer. Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, the numbers 8 and 9 are requests for reinstatement, and they can also be taken together, and I will recite those for the commission. Docket number 2018-404T is number 8, and this is a request of Charles Ross, DBA Paradise Luxury Taxi, for reinstatement of its Class C taxi certificate number 9403. Item 9 is Charleston Airport Shuttle.com LLC, DBA Charleston Cab Company. This company is requesting a reinstatement of its Class C charter certificate number 8874-A.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the commission grant the requests for reinstatement described by Mr. Butler in items 8 and 9. So moved.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, there are requests for extension in item numbers 10 through 13. Staff would recommend that these be taken together as well. Item number 10 is docket number 2008-140A, the request of Coleman American Moving Services, Inc. and Covan World Moving for an extension of time until June 1st, 2021 to file a 2020 annual report. Item number 11 is in docket number 2008-140A. This is a request of Go Diego Go Services, LLC for an extension of time until May 31st, 2021 to file its 2020 annual report. Number 12 is docket number 2021-26-T. This is the request of Middleton's Transport, LLC for an extension of time until May 20, 2021 to comply with Commission rules and regulations. Finally, number 13 is under docket number 2008-140A, and this is the request of Affordable Movers SC LLC for an extension of time until May 30, 2021 to file its 2020 annual report.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin,
I move the commission approve the requests for extensions in items numbers 10, 11, 12, and 13 as described by Mr. Butler. So moved.
hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item numbers 14 and 15 are two requests to amend. Again, staff would recommend that the commission proceed with these together, and I'll recite them. Item number 14 is docket number 2016-115T. We have a request of Juan Ping Lee, DBA Nandu Cab and Limo, to amend its Class C charter certificate number 9216 to read 15 passengers. Item number 15 is docket number 2020-281T. This is the request of Taxi United LLC, DBA ADR Taxi Cab, to amend its Class C taxi certificate number 9561 to read Taxi United LLC, DBA Happy Taxi Cab.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin,
I move that both of these requests to amend in items number 14 and number 15 as described by Mr. Butler be granted. So moved.
hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, other commissioners, we have two requests for suspension. Items 16 and 17, which again, staff would recommend be taken together. Item 16 is a request of Jordan Tours LLC to suspend its Class C charter bus certificate number 0408 till April 26, 2022. And number 17 is docket number 2007-81T. This is a request of Carolyn Lee, DBA Lee We Travel, to suspend its Class C charter bus certificate number 0231 for 1 year.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers.
I move the request for suspension of items 16 and 17 as described by Mr. Butler be granted.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 18 is under two dockets. This is for a waiver, a request for waiver of Regulation 103-153.1, which is a marking or identification of vehicles filed on behalf of Sammy's Transportation Incorporated.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin.
I move that the commission grant the request for waiver regulation 103-153.1 regarding marking or identification of vehicles, which was filed on behalf of Sammy's Transportation Incorporated. So moved.
Hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission, that does complete the transportation agenda, as well as all of the business coming before the commission on the agendas for today.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you again on May 19th at 11 a.m. We are adjourned.